There's a lot more wires going on, a lot more things involved. It's going to be difficult, I think.
This is the main technical challenge with this project, to fool the electronic modules on both sides. Because these cars are state-of-the-art, they both have built-in diagnostics. This team has to trick the car into thinking it now has the right transmission, the right engine, the right everything. And the engine has its own troubleshooting safeguards to outsmart. But even though many of the challenges are primarily technical, there are still some mechanical hurdles up the road.
We're going to have to fabricate our own exhaust flanges and headers completely, probably, just to be able to fit them between the chassis here.
Put a new cross member in, new motor mounts for the wider engine.
It's definitely wider. It's probably a fair bit longer as well. The steering might be in the way. Getting the exhaust past this is definitely going to be a problem. Some of the other things we have to make room for are the airbox, which is really large for the GS430. We're going to have to fabricate some kind of air intake tube that's going to somehow get past everything that's already here and still make the hood shut on this thing.
Another thing is larger radiator. Larger engine takes larger radiator to cool it down. So that and a fan shroud that'll fit in the space the V8 leaves behind.
The engine that came out of the IS300 is a 3-liter twin-cam 24-valve inline-6, sporting a horsepower of 215. It's being replaced with a 4.3-liter 4-cam 32-valve V8 with almost 100 more horses. And though the entire GS430 weighs a quarter of a ton more than the IS300, the engineers discovered that when they replaced the steel inline-6 with the aluminum V8, they only gained a mere 2 pounds.
All right, Chris, let's hike this thing up into place and bolt it up.
All right.
The new transmission goes in as planned, and eventually the team will need to replace the entire driveline with the one from the GS430. Installation that includes the drive shaft, the rear differential, and the half shafts. Soon it's time for the hood, and all seems to go well. But at the moment, the engine is minus its airbox and intake tubes.
Definitely a close one, but it might work.
I think so. Oh, it's sitting right there on my side.
Same here, right here. Okay.
All right, pulled out. Let's do a little cutting.
As the team makes room for the new radiator, the next chapter of this car's life is about to unfold. It's a chapter full of challenges because, in spite of all the brain power and ability at work in this shop, this car has a long ways to go before it's done. Now that it has a new engine, it needs a new look. Rod and Chip Foose arrive at Lexus to show their new ideas to Lexus executive Brad Nelson.
If you look at the history of racing and what you're doing with this car is, you know, I know that Rod's putting this motor in, you're giving a car that's got a lot more performance to it. It is a performance vehicle.
The trick is in finding the balance between a luxury vehicle and a car with a good deal of muscle.
You know, actually, one of the things that I like about this is the taper of the body line.
Yeah, and that's a line that's on the vehicle.
Right. It's kind of an interesting look. It actually looks kind of accentuates the wedge shape of the car. When I first see a design like this, I have to give it a little time to let it sink in, and you know, I hate to just go, well, that's that or this or you know, lay a judgment on it right away.
We're going to stress more the torsional rigidity of the frame than it was originally.
Probably visually lower the car a little bit more?
Just a little, and you know, which is important because we've lowered the front radiator. We put the radiator in out of the GS430, which is larger. So we've had to lower one of the members between the chassis rails there, so we need to hide that as well.
With the design on its way, Rod knows the car will need subtle body modification. Race legend Rod Millen works with Lexus and Chip Foose to create a fast new take on the Lexus IS300.
I really wanted to not only do a vehicle that drove well with increased performance and all the handling and so on, wheels, tires, brakes and so on, but I really wanted something that made a real subtle statement of being different. Not wild, but just subtle, you know, and I wanted to put bigger wheels and tires on it. I wanted bigger fender flares, a wider stance. Not much, just a couple of inches, you know, and just enhance the original fenders, you know, basically sort of like putting the car on steroids.
With its new GS430 engine and its bold new look, Lexus will unveil the car at this year's SEMA show in Las Vegas. That's the aftermarket supermarket for parts and accessories that go on anything you can drive. The due date is approaching, and the gang at Foose Design, along with paint artist Chris Quinn, work day and night to make it all happen.
Well, it's traveling to SEMA on Thursday. Today's Tuesday, so it's going to be done today.
Does it look like it's going to be done today?
It doesn't, does it? What do you think?
After year, pro painters like Chris Quinn spend the weeks before SEMA in the same way, painting and not sleeping. It's an annual ritual in this Huntington Beach community of builders and designers, burning the midnight oil to have it ready for SEMA. As the clock ticks down, Brad from Lexus stops in, hoping to get a positive status report.
Way to take it home.
Chip came up with 4 different paint schemes, you know, from wild to mild. And I think we, you know, the wild ones were to me, a little too much boy racer ones. It certainly made the car jump in terms of its appeal, or, you know, its statement. But we wanted something that it was going to be an everyday driver. Not attract too much attention. It already had a lot more performance, which in itself was going to attract attention. But a car that I could give to the president of Toyota and let him drive for a week and not be drawing too much attention to himself. And, you know, Chip's come up with this paint scheme which clearly makes the car different to an everyday IS300. And I think it just helps make that statement that yes, this car is different. Not much different, but it is different.
We'll probably have just under 100 hours in the total project with Dennis's time and assembly and everything.
That's all the time we have.
But if we know it's got to go, then that's just the adrenaline rush starts and blood gets pumping and everybody's drinking coffee and doing whatever it takes to get through the night and make it happen.
And it is happening. But even with the finish line in clear sight, there's always those scattered details that hopefully somebody is keeping track of.
Yeah, the car basically will be finished tonight other than 10 minutes worth of a couple lights being put on it. Yeah. And then I'm not sure what he's got going with his engine cover because I haven't seen that piece yet.
Yeah, my understanding is it's supposed to be done tomorrow. I think the plan was to use the gray lights.
We have the gray lights. They don't match any of the canters. None of the buckets are the same. I just looked at them.
Oh, really?
They're quite a bit different.
Shoot. Okay.